into how to keep your business running while working virtually. So there's a lot of cool stuff that's happening right now in the space and in the world that can help to keep your life kind of on the up and up and doing what you need to do. So one of the things that we do at BizzyWeb, and here's our team, is that we are a very virtual team at BizzyWeb. We regularly meet with folks virtually. We have clients all over the world. We have team members all over the country. Most of us located right here in the Midwest. A couple of the folks that you see in these honeycombs are live from Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. We have folks that have worked from us or worked for us on regular bases from Arizona, from Idaho, from New York City, and really from all over the world. So this is definitely something that we live. If you're wondering about what BizzyWeb is and what we do, here are a few examples of what we do. But you'll notice a theme with all of the things that are on here. All of these are digital, and they are all very easy to deliver virtually, whether it's web design, inbound marketing, growth marketing, consulting. We are able to do all of these things very remotely. So as we look together, we do have an office in Minneapolis. That office is de facto, along with the rest of, it seems, the world, and retail in particular. We're on pause. We're not having folks into the office except for basically to collect mail. And we are working as hard as we can to keep up with everything that we need to do. So just to keep bandwidth low, I am actually going to pause my video, and we'll keep the audio running. But let's keep moving forward, because everyone is online at home right now, and families all over the country are figuring out how to shift to remote. So like I said, we've been doing this for 10 years. Two of our full-time team members are from Eastern Wisconsin and work there every day. And most of us do get into the office or work virtually at least one time a month. We do all of this by having the right hardware, by having the right software. We're going to share a ton of those tools with you today. But it's imperative, if you're going to work from home, to have a computer that has some sort of, obviously or ideally, some sort of video. And webcams are very, very inexpensive if you do have a desktop that you need to work with, as our speakers. But every laptop that's out there in the world today is equipped with a camera and speakers and a microphone. I am checking chat, says no audio, so that's very interesting. Let me switch back over here and see what's happening. And I'm going to go, thanks, Paul. Internet is funky here. Cutting out quite a bit. Okay. And I will share back. I'm actually going to try a different microphone and see if that helps us. And we'll pull that back. Let's see. Getting audio from Bob. Thank you, Bob. And thanks to everybody for chatting. And as long as we're on that right now, I would encourage you, and please do feel free to go ahead and ask me questions via chat. I'm going to be going back through the chat as we go through our talk today. So please feel, oops, let me spell please right. Feel free to ask questions here. Great. Well, I'm fantastic. I'm super happy that the audio issue is at least partially better. I'm going to take these AirPods out of my ears so that I can hear you all better. And I think we're good. So a recording absolutely will be sent out. So Carolyn, thanks for the question. And thanks everybody for the feedback on the sound. Please do chat me if the audio goes funky. Again, as I said, we're on a shared network here. We have good Wi-Fi normally, but it seems like the entire neighborhood is all on Wi-Fi right now. So as you know, with these things, they tend to slow down. So a recording is absolutely going to be sent out, and everyone that's registered for today's event will also be receiving a link or links to all of the tools that I'm going to be talking through today. So thank you for the fantastic
setup. And Mike or Bob asked if the mic on your end is off. That is correct. I can't hear you guys, but you all can hear me, hopefully. And so we'll keep moving with the presentation. And gosh, thank you all very much for the feedback as we move forward. So let me just go back in and let's cover kind of what I want to help you out with today. So, given everything that's happening in the world and in the space and the questions that our clients have been asking us, we really want to help you identify the tools and the resources. Now, that's a little bit broader than tools, but just the things that you need to stay productive in your company, to keep your business moving forward, and hopefully to tease out a few ideas on how to at least make the best of this uncertain time and keep moving forward, as Walt Disney always used to say. So, without further ado, let's talk through what our agenda is going to be today, and that's going to be talking through the following kinds of tools. I'm going to go at times relatively quickly and also sometimes slowly on these. So, again, ask questions if you have specific questions as they come up, and I will keep checking them as we go through. I'm actually keeping tabs on the chat pane as we go. This is going to be recorded. Your chat text will not be recorded. So if you have personal questions or other things, feel free to leave them there. I will talk through them. And I'm just going to refer to you by your first name if I'm answering a specific question for you. We're going to talk through web conferencing, things like the tool that we're using here, Zoom, Hangouts. We're going to talk through instant messaging tools, things like chat, Slack, and things like that. CRM and sales tools, ways to keep your virtual sales and marketing teams all on the same page and to keep all of your content in one spot. Marketing tools, interesting, marketing tools to keep things going and moving forward. Project management software and document management software. So as we look through all of those, I'm going to give you a little bit about how we use each of these tools. I'm not giving you an encyclopedic overview of all of the tools that are available. I'm going off what we've used after now 20 years in business and being virtual and a small and mighty team. So these are things that we have actually kicked the tires on, that we've actually used. We don't use all of the tools that I'm talking through currently, but I want to share the broadest scope of things that we have real experience with. So that's the overview on where we're at and how we're going to approach this today. So first I want to talk through web conferencing. And web conferencing is incredibly important in this frame because we all still need to have face-to-face meetings, even when we're self-quarantining. So conference calls work, and they're a tool of last resort, in my opinion, mostly because you get a lot more out of the body language and the connections and being able to see people. And we're all social beings. We all need to have that face-to-face time. And yes, it's not as good to have face-to-face meetings over a computer, but it's important to be able to keep the momentum and to keep things going. So that's where web conferencing can come in. I'm a big Google fan, so I'm going to share a little bit about the tools that are available via Google, of course. And so Meet, Google Hangouts Meet at meet.google.com offers web and dial-in options. And I'm actually going to switch my screen over to what Meet looks like so that you can see what Meet looks like on this side. And so if you want to join a Meet meeting, you simply go to meet.google.com. There's a free trial that's available through July now for all small businesses as part of the COVID-19 response. And I'll talk through that in a little bit as well, because I have a number of resources that I found incredibly helpful that I'm going to link you to as well. But if you want to start up a Meet, you simply click Meet, you enter the name, and let's do test meeting. You hit continue, and the meeting pops up. So you're going to give it a set, and you can see me. And The camera is actually being shared across both right now. So about across both Zoom and Hangouts. So I don't know how that technical wizardry works, but that's how Hangouts works. It's very simple. You can chat, you can share screens, you can see everyone all on one page, and you can scroll up and down through people. And there's a number of different layouts that you can choose from for Google Hangouts Meet. So very, very slick and fun tool. And that's the biggest part of it. With Hangouts Meet, again, it's free to any G Suite user through July 1st. This is normally an enterprise feature, and the base version has Hangouts, but Hangouts Meet with the ability to do up to 250 participants per call and live streaming for up to 100,000 viewers. What had previously been used in Google Hangouts on Air is all available for free through July 1st. And you can record those meetings and save them to Google Drive. Carolyn asked, do I prefer either Hangouts Meet or Zoom, which is our next tool? And it really depends on the use of, or the use case that I'm covering. For me, Zoom is preferred for things like this, for live video chat webinars where I'm recording things. I'm actually going to do another Hangout or another webinar next week on advanced webinar tips to share content and ideas over large people or over large gatherings of people. We are demoing via Zoom the ability to do speed networking. You can do breakout rooms inside of Zoom, and that essentially allows you to have a big meeting and then break that big meeting into smaller meetings. And so with the local Twin West Chamber, I believe also with the Brainerd Lakes Area Chamber, and we're reaching out to a number of other chambers in our local footprint outside of around Minneapolis and Minnesota. We're going to offer the ability for people to get together and to have side conversations in addition to just having large conversations. And Carolyn asked, can we send a link to the advanced webinar? And you'll absolutely get that invite. If you're subscribed to BizzyWeb's updates, that's where we're going to send out most of our updates over the next few weeks. But I believe the link to the webinar, or at least two events where the webinar will be posted, is going to be included in the email that you'll get right after the end of this event. So Hangouts Meet is fantastic for one-on-one chats. You can use the larger, more professional Meet tools through the end of, or through the beginning of July. But Zoom, again, also offers up to 100 participants, web and dial-in options. So you can phone in if your computer doesn't have good audio, or it seems like someone always has problems with their audio or with their video. Video isn't the end of the world if you can't see the person, but audio makes it pretty tough to have a conversation. So you can actually use a phone number. And then right inside of the Zoom window, you can invite people and share the dial-in phone number, and then they can just hear. And some of you may have been prompted, if you don't have audio, to join via audio via phone as well. You can do unlimited one-to-one meetings with Zoom with the free version, and there's a 40-minute limit on group meetings for the free version. If you do the if you do the pro version, which starts at $12 a month, you can have up to 100 participants and record the webinar or the meeting. That's what this is using right now. So this is going to be recorded and it's going to be shared up to YouTube. I'm just going to download it, or it's downloading to my computer right now. And then I'm going to upload it to YouTube as soon as I'm done chatting with you. And you can have longer meetings. Outlook from S-Rosis. Yes, Outlook does have a similar tool. And the tool that Outlook has is called Skype. And Skype is integrated very deeply with the 365 world because Microsoft bought Skype a while ago. So you would probably be using Skype if you're in the Outlook or in the 365 world. Great questions, as everybody. So, tips for video conferencing. First, make sure that you test your technology in advance. I've found lots and lots of times where the technology is a little funky. We had a little bit of the problems at the beginning of this webinar with audio. Um, I had tested it right before this, which is really funny that it had problems, and it's very um, indicative of what you're going to run into when you have lots of technology that's all smushing together. Someone on your call is going to have a problem dialing in. Make sure that you are versed enough in the tool that you can send them the call in information. Um, you may have problems with your bandwidth. So have your phone available to option up a mobile hotspot if internet goes down. um, Make sure that you don't have lots and lots of windows open unless your computer can handle it, especially if you're using Google Chrome. If you have several dozen tabs open, that all eats up your RAM, and that would very much slow things down if you're trying to also do screen sharing. So keep everything as concise as possible. Keep your background clean, both on your computer and in your physical space. Make sure that you're looking at lighting and at your audio. My entire family is here, so I actually kicked them out, and they're off to a park to hang out for a while in the outside world for a little bit. It's going to be wonderful for them. And make sure that you dial in just a little bit early and be ready to help folks with any connection issues. I find it very helpful to notify people about the chat function. Thank you very much to Paul and to Sue for notifying me that audio was funky over chat. These are all web conferencing pros. So thank you very much for your input on that, and make sure that you're collecting and connecting and able to kind of operate on the fly. And thanks, Paul. For instant messaging, a lot of times it's tough to have face-to-face conversations or even the water cooler kinds of chats that we're used to around the office when we're not in the office. Instant messaging allows you to have stream of consciousness chat with other members of your team while still being remote. It's a blessing and a curse, honestly. You have to set aside time for real productivity, and it's really easy to get caught up in chatting all day long, or slacking, or doing hangouts, or even texting if you don't set aside real time to do not disturb. Another thing that I should have mentioned in my hangouts or in my webinar etiquette is to make sure that you set your office line to do not disturb and your computer to do not disturb, so that you don't get pop-ups while you're having these chats and these messagings. Um, Sometimes it's quicker to send an instant message, however, than it is to pick up the phone or fire off an email. Um, at BizzyWeb, it really does boost our productivity because we can quickly check in with one or multiple people to get the answers you want. I'm going to show you some examples of some tools that I've found to be incredibly helpful and easy. And for the most part, all of these tools are completely free. And so you can categorize messages as you move forward. Slack is one of our favorites, and Slack is at slack.com. You can have group chats inside of Slack. You can do multiple channels around any topic, and channels are kind of like message boards. Super easy to organize those messages and share. You can at people to call them in to a conversation, and the free version supports up to 10,000 messages, which in my experience, you won't run out of 10,000 messages unless you have a fairly large team and a very, very chatty team. To give you an idea, we have a team of 16 at BizzyWeb, and we've been using Slack for 2 years now. And I think we're at the 10,000 limit, but what happens when you get to the 10,000 limit is that the oldest messages fall off and are no longer archived, so you can't scroll back. So for most businesses, it gives you about, I'd say, approximately a year of archived messaging before you start paying for Slack if you decide that you need those messages longer. If you use Slack for what I think its intended purpose is, just to chat back and forth with each other, that's not really an issue. Also integrates with Google Drive, with Dropbox, with HubSpot, so that you can connect back and forth, and makes it super easy to connect. Again, I'm trying to do some demos on a lot of these things. I mentioned Zoom before, so this is kind of what Zoom, the homepage looks like, but the business pages, if you go into plans and pricing on any of these, the free version includes up to 100 participants. The $15 a month tool also lets you record and have as many people as you want on meetings. Chat or Slack is free for up to 10,000 messages, 10 integrations, which will get you about everything that you need. But then starting at $6.67 per user per month, is going to give you a bunch of extra. So deeper communication, you can do video chat, which in my opinion, I'm going to use Google Hangouts or Zoom for all of my video chatting or video pricing. And if you go into Slack's features, you can kind of see what it looks like. So you have all of these boards down the side, whether it's design teams, social media, channels. We keep a blog ideas Slack open. Whenever anyone has an idea about what we should feature on our blog, we brainstorm together there. So it makes it super, super easy to connect up and to keep up with everyone that way. Google Hangouts has a chat, and this is free. Instant chat with your internal teams. We're on Hangouts at BizzyWeb all the time. So whenever we want to have just one-offs and connections with people, you can send those direct messages on one-to-one. All of these tools have mobile versions, so you can connect with Slack online and mobilely. You can connect with Google Hangouts, certainly. With any of the tools that we're talking about, there's some sort of a mobile options or optimized experience too. As I mentioned before, you can have that live streaming, and you can record those meetings and save them to Google Drive if you're using the enterprise version, which again is free until July 1st as part of Google's COVID-19 response. For messaging, my goals or my watchwords are to just be mindful of security. Don't share passwords. Don't share any confidential information over Hangouts, over Slack. That's best done using another tool that I'm going to cover later, called 1Password. And all of these tools only work if you keep up with them. You need to keep track of your ongoing chats. And it's kind of tricky to chat with people and to maintain your productivity. So there's lots of apps that are available for iOS and Android for any of these. So make sure that you connect and use those. If you have any questions on messaging tools, any other recommendations or ideas, would love to hear them in the chat function of Zoom. So go ahead and leave those here. And again, we'll keep answering those stream of consciousness as we go through. And if there's something that's bigger that we want to wait until the end on, can absolutely do that as well. Let's talk about CRM. CRM, or customer relationship management tools, and sales tools are essential if you have a sales team, especially a virtual sales team that needs to maintain their productivity. A great CRM allows team members as well as managers to monitor progress towards goals, to know your deals, to know your pipeline, and to know what the team is doing, and to be able to forecast on what your results are. No matter if you're a one-person shop or have 70 people on your team in sales, I would recommend very strongly having a CRM of some sort. And as I'll mention in a moment, some of the CRM tools are very, very inexpensive as well. For example, HubSpot. HubSpot has a completely free CRM. This is one of the first things that we try to do with all of our clients. If they don't have CRM, we try to get them into HubSpot's free CRM, unless they're in some other tool. So if you're using Excel spreadsheets and Post-it notes to keep track of your sales, do yourself a massive favor and go to HubSpot.com/CRM and just sign up for the free CRM tool, because this will allow you to track every deal that you have with any customer that you've got going, any conversation that you have with them. It's fully integrated with Gmail and with Microsoft 365. And so any email that you send and receive from that client is tracked under that client's record. So you don't have to go through and search your emails and search all of your attachments and search through all of your post-it notes to see where you're at with the client. And you can also give yourself tasks to keep up with everything. It's super easy to track relationships across team members, and the reporting is incredibly helpful. You can look at how many deals you have and what the relative value of those deals are. You'll know the more you measure how long it takes to close a deal and the likelihood to close a deal by stage, and that helps you properly forecast what your revenue is going to look like. Now, with the current environment, all bets are off. Had a very smart person that I trust implicitly that runs sales for HubSpot tell me that they're expecting a 25 to 50% decrease in new sales on one-off engagements for the next quarter. So, it's going to be helpful if you're tracking all of that information, and then if you're looking at it. As we go in, let me share the tab on there, and my mouse is missing. Where is my mouse? There it is. I can't see it. Come on, baby. Oh, that's interesting. My mouse is hidden, but I can go Control Tab. And again, important to be as flexible as possible. HubSpot CRM, completely free, and you can get through all of the deals. You can set and schedule individual meetings with people, and everybody's busy. So you can actually send them a link to check out open time on my calendar. And like for me, what I like to do is I have 3 different kinds of meetings. I have phone meetings for 15 minutes that are kind of general purpose. And that'll book on my calendar and can be booked much more tightly. In-person meetings, I need at least an hour between each meeting so that I can get to and from any of those meetings. And I stop those earlier in the day so that I can get back home. And then I also have topic chats. So if someone has a specific client question, they have a special link to my calendar that actually gives even tighter integration so that I can pop those folks in whenever they need to chat with me. Very, very simple. Inside of sales tools, inside of HubSpot's tools. This is further on in the presentation, but this is a sample of a connection that I've made. You can open up sequences inside of HubSpot Sales, which integrates with HubSpot CRM. And so that contact first name, hey, Bob, hey, Dave, hey, Paul, here's another cold email you didn't ask for. Don't hit delete yet. Check out this video. HubSpot has video integrated completely seamlessly and free inside of here. And then you can add things in, and then you can automate that. So this is set up to wait a couple more days, or wait one more day, send them an ebook. Wait one more day, give me a task to connect up on LinkedIn. Teresa says that audio is flaking out. I apologize. I will try to speak softly. And if the audio is continually out, I will come back and re-record this and send you a new recording. So apologies to folks that are having audio issues. Sometimes it's me, sometimes it might be your connection too. So just let me know if you're having some stuff. And actually, I just got a pop-up that says my internet connection is funky. So that is probably me. You can check, you can share, you can check, and you can make connections with everything that you've got going on. So I am going to Shift Tab and close some windows so that we don't lose, or to hopefully free up some RAM on the connections. So let's go back to the PowerPoint and let's talk about Zoho CRM. So for Zoho, this is another CRM that we have used in the past. It's got a free 15-day trial. It's $12 a month per user. After that, it's incredibly customized. Hello, everybody. I am back. I apologize for that. Looks like my audio dropped. And so we got rebooted here, and hopefully everything's back in. Let me just check to see. Looks like we still have all of our participants. Let me pull chat back up again so that we can see how everybody's doing. Um, Keep cutting out funky audio again. I'm back. Sorry about that. About that. Perfect. So again, backing up a little bit, just to keep track of where we were. HubSpot CRM, fantastic, easy tools to use. Um, Zoho CRM. If you're in a office that needs to have a lot of different kinds of tools, and if budget is a clear priority across all of those tools, I would recommend checking out Zoho. HubSpot, once you get into the pro level tools, is just a little bit more expensive than what you're probably going to see at Zoho's level if you're using projects and CRM and HR and reporting. But over time, we felt that the extra utility and usefulness, and certainly the ability to start up CRM for free, is a very simple way to get rolling and to get massive opportunities with free and or very inexpensive tools. So Zoho is my second choice if you just don't like HubSpot. As well, let me switch back here. Proposify is a fantastic sales tool. There are other tools like this. PandaDoc is one of them, but Proposify is our current favorite for the e-signing and signature tooling to help you send out virtual contracts. Sometimes in sales, we go out with paper contracts and we connect and we help folks out. But virtual contracts are much easier, lets you stay on your customer's timeline, and it also gives you a lot of information. So when I send out a Proposify proposal, I know how long a prospect has looked at a particular document, how much time they've spent on any given page, and I'll know if they get to the pricing page and they just shut the window down, that maybe the pricing didn't match their expectation. At 19 bucks a user per month, it's incredibly helpful, and it has a super slick and seamless integration with HubSpot. Let me go back over here and show you. I'm going to skip over here. This is what the Proposify windows look like. So I can track all of my stuff. I want to show you a template inside of Proposify so you can see what these look like. And it's an incredible time saver because I can have all of the core elements of most of my proposals in one spot. So I open up a new deal inside of HubSpot, I click go, and then everything that's listed in, Dear Bob, the term brand has become one of those blah, 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 blah. I edit this for every one of my customers based on the interviews that I've had with them. Scope of services, just details on what we talk about, the time frames, and then why BizzyWeb, and then a pricing sheet. So this is going to be custom, and I can import different products if you have a number of different products or services. If you sell products, you can load all of your products in here and just checkbox all of the products that you want to include in your proposal. And then you go through the details of the people, you have your contract information, and then people can sign. You assign the contacts by the CRM. So the CRM says that this is owned by Bob and the customer is Mary. And so Mary's going to be here under the user and Bob is going to be here under the owner of the proposal. Very, very simple. And then you go through details and they sign and they're done. So it's super, super slick and I think super fun to connect and engage. Tips on CRM and sales tools. You need to budget time to set up any CRM and to import your data. There's so much going on inside of these that you really do need to figure this out. That's one of the big problems that folks have with tools like HubSpot, is that it's amazing once it's set up, but there's a lot of setup that needs to go in there. You probably, everyone on this call probably has several hundred to several thousand contacts. To get all those people imported, even inside of a CSV file, you still have to format the CSV file correctly in order to get all of that data in there. The power is in making data useful. So don't overcomplicate the process. Don't have 17 different deal stages. Simplify it as much as possible and make sure that it's used consistently. Honestly, the biggest reason or the biggest lift that we got in productivity in our sales team when we moved from Zoho to HubSpot is that HubSpot is so much easier to use. You enter in the URL of a company and it automatically imports all of the contact information, logo, and headquarters info all automatically into the system. So it saved us on the sales team a ton of time. But you're probably going to want to get some sort of professional help on setup. This is where BizzyWeb can help. If you have specific questions, I would love to handle that for you and to at least give you some advice on how to set things up. We do have a webinar on how to set up and use CRM, and that's at buzzyweb.com/events. Let's talk about marketing tools. It's important to have a way to keep in touch with your customers and your prospects. Your marketing shouldn't stop just because you're not in the office. Make sure that those leads continue to keep coming in. It's an easy task to send email to customers to let them know you're still open to business, even if you have gone remote. Give your customers confidence about your service levels. You may note if you subscribe to this message that we've been upping our communication. Seems like everybody's been upping their communication a little bit to try and reassure folks that you're still open for business. We're trying to help our customers as much as possible and stay in front of all of this coronavirus and COVID-19 and quarantine stuff to make sure that our customers are thinking forward and moving ahead as much as possible. HubSpot, of course, has a fantastic marketing tool. It's free for all of the basic things that you get with CRM. That includes email scheduling, email tracking, phone call tracking for 7 days, and a number of other things. The marketing tools, once you get into Marketing Basic or Marketing Starter, that's $50 a month, and it includes SEO tools, advertising management. You can send emails and manage lists out of HubSpot's marketing suite. Very, very simple and very easy. You can do A/B testing, and of course, it integrates with all of the rest of the stuff at HubSpot. Constant Contact is another tool that we use all the time. If you have a very, very large list, one of the things that HubSpot has a limitation on is they charge per the 1,000 customer, and it goes up about $50 per extra 1,000 customers. So if you have a list of 25,000 people, sometimes it's easier to go to a tool like Constant Contact, which offers more basic email marketing, some marketing automation. If you're looking for real automation, you should go straight into HubSpot, in my opinion. But we do use both, and we use both for a lot of our customers, as sometimes you just want to get out an email, and having some professional email delivery tool, whether it's MailChimp, which we've used before, but I don't like, Constant Contact, which is my middle of the road, and or HubSpot, which is my professional grade version. You can have landing pages, you can have connections, and it makes it really easy to stay in touch. Um, the important thing to remember is that email is by no means dead, and the ROI on email marketing is off the charts. It's like 40 to 1 for the levels that you're going to put together. And Constant Contact starts at $25 a month. The HubSpot advanced marketing tools start at $50 a month. So very, very simple and very inexpensive for what you get. Tips for marketing: you need to think about the strategy that you're trying to accomplish, who you're trying to reach, what you're trying to sell them and send them and offer them and help them. Try free offers and use freemium. HubSpot having a free CRM is a brilliant way to get people interested and to knock down the biggest barrier, which is kicking the tires on a tool. It just takes a lot of time to get things set up. And then by the time you get into a tool, or by the time people are working with you, they'll be more trusting of your ability to meet their needs. And so offering something free or something easy, that's why these webinars are free. The more you can help your customer, even advance of an actual sale, the more successful you will be and your customer will be in the long term. So think on a long-term basis. Project management, there's a lot of stuff that can help you keep everything on track. If you have a large team, especially if that team is virtual, it's important to keep all of your tasks in one spot and not in any individual's task list. It's super easy to keep track of what's happening, to help and to collaborate if you've got everything into one spot. And everyone gets that same task list. So if a task is dragging on, someone else on the team can notice that and jump in. It is important to have a project manager on a task or by project, and that might rotate for you. Um, it's a lot easier to manage things if you have any virtual, if you have a project management system in place. Our current favorite is called Hive. Um, just kind of coincidental that BizzyWeb and Hive go together very well, but this offers really intensive and helpful cloud-based project management and process tracking. You can track tasks, you can track timesheets, so you know how much time people are spending on every task, you know, and BizzyWeb budgets a certain amount of time per any given type of task. And so we know if our teams are going outside of that to help them and or to focus on processes that are taking too long. It is optimized for Agile, so you can have scrums, you can have sit downs, you can have connections. Everybody can pile on and just brainstorm the heck out of a given task or problem or project. And it integrates very seamlessly with everything that you need to manage and track all of your documents, Dropbox, Slack, Gmail, Outlook. There's not a direct integration with HubSpot, but at 12 bucks a user a month, it's very, very simple. And it's been heaven sent for us. A tool that we started with and that we used for a lot of years before we moved to Hive is Zoho Projects. Again, if you want one thing that can do a lot of things pretty well and cheaper, Zoho is a great tool. It's cloud-based, same thing. It's inexpensive, 150 bucks a year for 6 users. Very, very simple and very easy. And it's more geared towards waterfall or traditional project management, but it is very effective and helpful. It's way, way, way better than nothing. Project management tips, make sure that you track your time and keep everything in one spot. The reason Basecamp didn't make my list is that there's not a, without paying extra, a time tracking tool. You can use Harvest with Basecamp to track your time, but that's adding complexity, it's adding silliness. I just want to open up my tasks list, open up my project management, and have everything in one spot. We did use Basecamp prior to. I don't recommend it anymore because splitting things off and making it more complicated is not my cup of tea. Don't force your customers to use your project management system if they don't need to. Just have an email account. Most of these tools, Zoho and Hive, have an email address that customers can just email their documents into the project for your team to respond to. You can send messages out of the project. You can receive messages out of the project. Don't force your customers to log in and use your project management system because it's a lot more complicated than just firing off emails. You do need to have your entire team adopt the tool. If you've got a holdout that's simply not going to do it, it's going to dramatically erode the effectiveness of that tool. And then I would also use cloud storage, even though both of the tools that I mentioned, Hive and Zoho, offer document storage and retention. I would keep your documents in Google or in Dropbox or some other tool just to keep your files safe and to keep the file size down. Documents. So talked a little bit about this prior, but if you work in a remote workforce, you need to have a spot to get at all of your documents. If you have a remote team, you don't want to rely on that remote team member's hard drive to store those documents. They might drop their laptop, something might happen to it, they might be offline. Having everybody keep all of their files in the cloud, make sure that you've got business continuity and that other people can pile on or help if people become unavailable. It just keeps your business safer, more secure, and it keeps automatic backups of everything that you're working on. I'm going to cover a couple of tools on how to manage documents and or save files. First, and one of the tools that we use all the time is Google Drive. Starts out free for up to 15 gigs of storage, which will cover a lot for most people, especially when you look at the formats of the tools that are available inside of Google G Suite. Sheets, which is a tool that you can use to manage like Microsoft Excel, um, Docs, which is like Microsoft Word, Slides, which is like PowerPoint, all offer basically the exact same experience of the Microsoft tools that I mentioned for free, but they also allow constant and always on full collaboration. At BizzyWeb, one of the things that we do with our remote team is we all work on a agenda document wherever we are. Like I mentioned, we have full-time team in Wisconsin and full-time team in Minnesota. We're all on that document, and people can be typing on one section and you can see them typing as you're moving all on that document. You don't have to worry about file version control. They're just updating that same document everywhere. There's lots of collaboration. G Suite, if you go to the pro version, starts at $6 a user a month, and there's unlimited storage of photos, as long as you're careful about who you're connecting with and what you're seeing. And you can manage and control access to those files. Again, very, very simple. Dropbox is another tool that we use to share large files, mostly because the business tool starts at $15 a user a month for 3 users and offers 5 terabytes of space. I don't know about you, my little laptop only has a terabyte of space, so that's 5 laptops worth of space. But it allows you to easily store, keep offline, and manage your files without bogging down your internal hard drive. There's Smart Sync on Dropbox, which I love. You can see all of your files, but it only downloads the file for use when you need to click on it, or when you click on it to open it. When you save it back, saves it back up in the cloud. Everybody has access to all of the most up-to-date files. And you can also go back in history if you had changed something and you want to go back to an earlier version. Very smart, very simple. Have not had a problem with Dropbox ever. It's super, super slick. And I think it's cheap insurance, especially over buying extra hard drives and backing them up all the time, although I also do that to keep everything together. Also keeps your email from getting flooded with large files. If you share files with your customers, it's much easier to just right-click on a Dropbox file and say share Dropbox link to let that customer or that prospect or that contact download the document from Dropbox. They don't get access into your folder. They can't see anything other than the file that you've shared with them. But that way, all you're sharing is a little text link, not a 17 megabyte file. And then if you're tracking things on a regular basis, or if you have a lot of team members and complicated processes, you need a password manager. Make sure that you are tracking and connecting and keeping all of your most sensitive materials in a hyper secure environment. Our favorite tool is 1Password for that particular deliverable. Lets you control all access to confidential information. If you have passwords or logins for clients or documents or sensitive information that you need to track, you can save all of that inside of 1Password, and then your team can be granted access to specific groups, and you can easily optimize and or change access if a team member is no longer available, or if they change organizations, if they move on. You can simply take off their access to those passwords and you don't have to worry about them having access to it. Also has something called Watchtower on 1Password. If your information is ever compromised, 1Password will let you know proactively and say, warning, this email account, like if you're on a Gmail or something, or if you had a Home Depot login or something like that, say, warning, all Home Depot accounts were compromised. You should change your password. And it gives you one step logging in on that. Also has an iOS and Android integration. So your passwords are always with you wherever you go. Very, 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 very simple. It's $8 per user per month for the full version of 1Password. And with the COVID-19 response, they've extended their free trial from 30 days to 6 full months. So you have no excuse not to start using password security on a mega level. For doc sharing, send your files via shareable link whenever possible. Don't load up your emails with heavy documents or potentially sensitive documents. Just send a link. And pro versions allow for file recovery and far more space. As I mentioned, the Smart Sync keeps all of your files available to you as long as you have an internet connection. And if you want offline access to those, you can select to do that as well. Like all the tools we've covered, the entire team needs to use these resources to be effective. If someone doesn't have 1Password, or if someone doesn't have Dropbox active and they're not backing up their files, if they're not online and if they're not willing to share that document with you, you're kind of sunk. So make sure that you've got all of that in one spot. All right, so I want to back up a second and share some generic COVID-19 related resources. I'm going to show you a few of these. And so if you have specific questions that you want me to cover on any of the tools that I've covered or any of the tips that I've talked about so far, please feel free to share those here. Would love to help you with anything that you need. Before I go further onto that, let me do one small thing and just go through a couple small things so that we can go right up to the end of the hour. If you need more information on how all of this stuff works, I've got a super easy beginner's guide to inbound marketing that'll cover deeper access to how HubSpot works and how to automate your marketing so that you can do more with less time. And next month, our webinar on the 1st is going to be Say Anything, creating a content strategy framework to connect up and reach out. Again, you have my contact information, I hope. You're going to get a link to every single document and resource that I've covered so far, including the ones that I'm about to now. If you registered for today's event, if you're happening across this on YouTube or after the event, go ahead and send me an email and I'd be happy to send you the document with all of those. So let me back up for a second. And I just want to share these. Google has smallbusiness.withgoogle.com. That's a ton of helpful information on how to get into and share everything that you need to know about what's happening in this time of uncertainty. So things like making sure that you update your business profile page on Google if your office is closed but you're still open. You can use posts to communicate information. You can set an email auto reply with answers to frequently asked questions. You can store your contact information, and there's links to creating business continuity plans and other shared resources and documents. Grow with Google and the Google tools. There's a bunch of stuff inside of, again, this is linked to you, but there's details on Hangouts Meet and everything that you need inside of here. Grow with Google, or grow.google/remote work is specific tips for remote workers. So go ahead and send that to anyone that's starting to work remotely, to your entire team. That's just handy tips on what you need to do, how you can take care of yourself, what you can do from here forward to remain productive and take advantage of any opportunity that you can inside of this challenging time. HubSpot has massively cool blogs on remote meeting tips and general on telecommuting. And for both of those, again, you're going to get the links, but there's 26 tools for better collaboration and organization. These have links. This is a lot of stuff that I haven't covered because I only covered the things that I personally recommend, but there's lots and lots of stuff in here. There's also a simple overview for running better remote meetings, things like choose the right remote meeting tool, include a dial-in option, watch out for time zones, all kinds of handy information. There's things to check before your next conference call to determine which tool you'll use. Again, determine if you'll talk via phone, VoIP, set up meeting invitation and tips on that. And then 8 tips for working from home, things like taking care of yourself, tracking, setting it aside, and then the ultimate guide to telecommuting, which is the one that I'm linking to. This is a massive overview of everything that you need to know, do, and be prepared for when you're moving to a virtual working arrangement. So all of those links are coming to you. And so if you have additional questions or details, again, here's that link or that list of links. You're going to get many more than those inside of the email. We are almost at time, so I want to leave it right here. And here's my contact information, and now's your time to chat with me. We'll keep it open until the top of the hour. If you don't have any questions, feel free to go on and enjoy your day. And hopefully for the folks that are online, you got something out of this. Thanks everybody for joining and for hanging out. Carol, Donna, Erica, Kayla, Lisa, Paul, Susan, Tim, Trace, and Tim. Thank you so much for hanging out. Paul, thank you for the comment and the note, and thanks for hanging out as always. I'm going to review this recording, and if there were some dead spots in the recording, I'm going to re-record in a more abridged format and post up to YouTube. But this will be available if you want to share this talk or this content with your teammates, with your management, whatever. We are here for you. This is a very weird time. Everybody's on tilt. Try to take care of yourselves. Try not to let the media completely consume your life. If you haven't taken a Twitter break yet, I might encourage that for at least a little bit. I know I've had to sign off of social media, and I've taken to reading a good book instead of reading articles every night, because for me that tends to lead to very strange and or terrible dreams if I'm reading too much up. Take care of your teams. Just be gentle and kind with each other. We're all having a ton of stuff that we're dealing with, and we're all going to get through this together, and the best way to do that is to help each other out. So that's why we're here. Thank you all very, very much for hanging out. If I don't have any other questions, I'll leave this go, but I will hang out for a couple more seconds to make sure that you don't. Thanks, everybody, and I hope this helped you generate buzz without getting stung. Have a fantastic day.